Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Cybersecurity Chronicles. Today, I really just want to take the time to explain my cybersecurity journey, really just how I got where I am today, and just a few things about me before we go ahead and get this channel started. So, the first thing I will answer is, how did I get into the industry? So I did graduate in 2016 from Western Michigan University with my degree in criminal justice. Honestly, a big regret, but also at the same time, still learning to live with no regrets. So graduated from uh, WMU in 2016, got my bachelor's in criminal justice, and then I moved away actually in January of the following year to North Carolina. So while I was in North Carolina, I was supposed to be studying to go to law school actually, but I really just I couldn't sit down and study for the GRE, the LSAT. I just couldn't get into the content when it was time for me to really dive in and start my studying process. I felt like every time I opened up the book, I just didn't feel any motivation there. I was actually demotivated, like ready to take a nap, ready to do something different, always putting it off for another day. So I just focused on working there. I worked at Wells Fargo while I was there and eventually got sick of the job. And that drove me to, want to do something different, which is what I did doing so. So I got an opportunity to relocate to Texas when I got a job opportunity at State Farm as a claim specialist. So relocated from North Carolina to Texas for that job. And that really changed, I would say, like the trajectory of my life. That's when I started making a little bit of money to where I didn't feel like I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was able to live a little bit more of life. But I also knew at the same time that that wasn't a job that I wanted to work forever. I knew that I didn't want to, retire from the company. But I did appreciate, what purpose it served in my life during that time. So while I was there for my first year, I started researching their tuition reimbursement options. And that's when I saw that cybersecurity was a degree that they offered reimbursement for. So that first year, I just really spent it focused in on cybersecurity as a whole, just trying to figure out the different avenues, what the different jobs are, kind of what the pay structure is like, what experience looks like in terms of internships and opportunities alike. So the first roadblock that I actually ran into when it came to pursuing, my master's was not having a bachelor's degree that was in engineering or in computer science, something that's more technical. And so that did prevent me from going to a ton of institutions who did have that as admission requirements, that you need to have that certain degree. And then the second thing, as I just stated, was me not wanting to take the GRE. I just really hated taking tests. And so they gave me anxiety when it came down to even just studying for the exam, let alone taking it. I just wasn't motivated to do so. So I knew I had to find a school, one where I could not take the GRE, and then two, a school that didn't have a technical degree as a requirement, which is really how I ended up at the school that I graduated from, which was the University of Dallas. The big motivating factor of me going there was actually knowing that they were also accredited and that they had that accreditation. I believe it's been like 20 years now. So feeling backed and supported by their accreditation as well is what really just made me wanted to pursue the school. So that's really just how I got started. And then what is my background in? So most of my background prior to working in cyber was really just customer service focused. I worked at PNC. I worked at Wells Fargo as in their collections organization. I worked at State Farm, customer facing with, customers who were injured in a car accident. So always been very customer facing from that side. And then on the criminal justice side, I've worked at group homes, summer programs, camps, things like that. So always been surrounded by the youth a bit as well. So that's just a bit about my background prior to cyber. I know people, tend to think about that if they're looking to pivot. As you can see from me, really customer service focused. Nothing that I really did with the youth or in criminal justice per se is really related to what I do today. So next, I want to talk about how hard the transition was for me into the cybersecurity industry. I would say it was very hard for me, honestly. I really came in with no real world experience. I didn't really understand what the day to day would potentially look like for me. So the year prior to starting my master's, like I said, that was real. I really, jumped into things. So that knowledge that I gained for that year was really all that I had when I started my program. And one of the other reasons why I went after that program in specific was because they did advise that you didn't need to have like any prior experience, that you could just kind of jump right in. So I was like, this is perfect for me. This is exactly, essentially what I'm looking for. And so my first couple of courses, I really struggled. I remember even just trying to understand the OSI model, and just remember the different layers. I struggled so badly with even just understanding what is going on at this layer. It was just a lot for me to digest and take in, but also try to be able to remember, going forward into the next class. So my first couple of courses, I definitely struggled, but I got a better footing, I would say, after my second semester. That's when things start to go a lot smoother for me. I won't say that it was a walk in the park because it wasn't. Honestly, if I'm being blatantly honest, it was the worst 2 years of my life. Working full time and going to school part time, even just taking 2 classes, kicked my butt. But I don't have any regrets with it because it did really just change my life. So I do tell people that I'm very honest about what my experience was like. It sucked. Missed a lot of trips, missed a lot of hangout opportunities, missed a lot of fun things. But I'm living a better life today because of the time that I put in back then. So, pros and cons to it, depending on the type of person that you may be. So I want to talk about some of my favorite classes. So one of them was operational security management, I believe, cybersecurity management. And so that was a class where we really focused in on researching breach cases and then designing. I'm looking at my notes. That's why I keep looking back and forth. And then designing a cybersecurity breach report and also creating access control plans and recommendations on how we can minimize this from happening in our company. And so I also had a digital forensics class, which really just kind of put me on game and let me know that our digital footprint is even more of a footprint than we are consciously aware of. And if you're really not, in the industry, you don't even really understand how deep it goes. Like you can think you deleted something and it might not be deleted. It still can be recovered if you have the right tool, if you have the right knowledge and skill set. So digital forensics really put me up on game about the power of a digital footprint. And then also operational strategic management just really felt like a real life situation or scenario that you would be in. And that is. And so I enjoyed doing things like that throughout my coursework that were really hands-on and that helped me understand things in, a bigger picture. So my least favorite classes were definitely be networking and penetration testing. I'll start with networking first because it was just a lot to grasp as a first time, student to the industry. It was a lot to grasp, digest, and understand, but it was definitely a necessary class. I actually honestly think that the school should take it a step further and have it be broken down into like network 1 and network 2. Just so you really do have that full compass view of networking, because that is a really big skill that is, maybe necessary in the field, depending on what you're doing in the industry. Just having that network, foundational knowledge. And even if you can, to step up even more intermediate focus will really help you, go further. But for me, it was just a lot to digest. That's it. I feel like I would do a lot better today because I know a lot more. I feel like I would do a lot better in the program actually today than I did back then because I know more and I have more real world experience. But potato, tomato, potato, potato. And then my other least favorite class was penetration testing. And so I had a really dope, amazing instructor. But for me, the class didn't live up to the hype that I thought it was going to be when I thought about what a penetration tester did. And so a penetration tester, for those of you who don't know, is just someone who is basically an ethical hacker. So they are either hacking the company to help strengthen their security posture or the other way around. But long story short, It was a lot of writing. It was a lot of explaining, a lot of write-ups. It wasn't as glamorous as I thought it was going to be, which I learned a lot of things aren't as glamorous as you think they'll be, as you're starting out. So, those are my most favorite and least favorite classes. What are some things that have carried me through? I would say honestly, networking was big for me right off the bat, in school, even in discussions. You have to do those for your classes. I got cool with a lady in class, and we're still really, really good friends to this day. And we were like each other's like soul sisters through the program, like making sure each other felt supported. If I understood something and she didn't understand something, we would, share that knowledge with each other to try to help each other, best understand things when things got tough, sending each other words of encouragement. Hey, I know finals is coming around, midterms, and that really, really, really helped me through. Just feeling like I had a friend there who understood kind of what I was going through because they were going through something similar. So I would say that piece, but also networking in the broader realm, really just me getting out of my introverted ways and being more open to networking events and joining organizations and not being afraid to raise my hand and open my mouth and, speak my voice. So networking has caused me to have a ton of opportunities that I would have missed out on if I were still in my shell. And then I would also say close friends and family, just having that support system. School does get hard, learning does get frustrating, but if you have people cheering you on, it does feel good. And it's just that reminder to you that, trouble don't last always and that you can really just make it through. And then I would also honestly say every time I got super, super frustrated or just like overwhelmed, I just thought like this is temporary. Like you're not even gonna feel like this in 5 years. In 5 years, your life could be completely different. And that is the energy that I carry with me and that I use to kind of drive my fuel and my energy to keep going, even when I was having, some really dark and bad days. So I just kept saying, like, I know this is going to pay off. My life is going to be better. I'm going to be making more money. I'm going to be able to do more things. And that's exactly what happened. So, feeding your mind those positive thoughts and being surrounded by people who genuinely love and care about you, will really take you a long way. And it's not even necessarily that you need to have like 50 people. You can have one person, two people, three people. It doesn't have to be a large amount of people. You can learn and grow with people as you're, experiencing your journey. Just be open to that. So those are some things that I felt like really just helped carry me through. I also have, what jobs have I worked in the cybersecurity industry? So my first experience was working in a security operations center, really focused in on vulnerability management, which was really dope. I feel like for a first time experience for someone new to the field. I got to research what is going on every Tuesday when Microsoft drops Patch Tuesday and all these vulnerabilities that you want to go through and see if any of your assets are affected by, and then conveying that message. Well, doing the research to understand, okay, is this something that we should be worried about? Is this something that can be exploited? Really just diving into the logistics of those vulnerabilities and then sharing that knowledge with the stakeholders, with my manager, with the chief information security officer, and then also being the middleman between accepting risk. So if we have stakeholders who are like, well, we need to accept this risk based on whatever their reasoning may be, then I would take that message back to my leadership, who would then take it to his leadership, which was the chief information security officer. And then he would make that determination on if the company wanted to accept that risk or not. So big shoes to fill, the higher you do go up. But really great experience, worked with some amazing people. Shout out to my girl Yashna, and my girl said too, I think about y'all all the time. I hope y'all still doing good. I know they're still working there, rocking it out in the SOC. So yeah, that was my first experience. From there, I went ahead and joined AT&T's technology development program, which is really just for recent graduates, to allow you to do a rotational program into the industry. So my first track that I did was technical business management. So I focused in on ServiceNow. Didn't actually make it to the second track because I transitioned from that program to Microsoft, their program, which is called Aspire. And so that's also for recent grads. If you have your master's, a bachelor's, or an MBA, you apply for like the certain roles that'll basically say that on the application. It may say like early career or like aspire. I don't know the correct name of it today, but they basically put you in this program where you get all of this support. And basically it's for recent grads. So to walk you into the company, make sure you have the experiences, the support, the guidance, the leadership, the tools, the knowledge, really just jam packed with a ton of things to help you be successful while you are at the company. So I actually just graduated from that program a few weeks ago. So I'll be hitting my 2 years at Microsoft. Initially, I started out as a customer success manager focused in on business applications. And now I do cloud solution architect work specifically for our security suite. So Defender for Office, a bit of Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Sentinel, as well as just, the concept of zero trust. So I love what I do. With what I do at work, I really just help our customers utilize our products, help them better understand how to utilize them, understand the business risk that's present in their environment, features, capabilities, things of that sort, really making sure that they're in alignment with their security goals as well as their security roadmap. But really, that's just my experience on what's gotten me to where I am today and what jobs I've worked so far in the industry. While I'm also here, I do want to take the time to highlight that I do have a segment on my homeboy's channel. It is textual chatter. So I'll make sure to put that in the description as well, so you can make sure to check it out. But we do dive into security incidents, data breaches, trending topics, latest movies, shows, just all type of things. We really enjoy what we do. We have a pretty good following. So if you're interested about breaking into the industry, definitely check out his page. He has a ton of great content on things that you can do, real life practical experience, real life guidance, really just honest truth about how you can get somewhere if you're looking to make that career switch. So again, textual chatter, and I'll make sure to put the details in this video. And last but not least, I want to dive into some things that I am actually into outside of work. So what do I do outside of cybersecurity? Well, still some stuff that is cyber focused. So I'm an instructor at a school in the DFW area that has an Associate to Grow Elite program. I teach right now Security Plus and Linux Plus, but in the past I've taught A Plus and Network Plus. So if you're familiar with those CompTIA exams, really just the content around those. I love engaging with my students and really just putting them up on game as to what to expect as they begin their journeys, because it has not been so long from when I began mine. So love teaching them and, just letting them know what to expect and helping them get their knowledge and skill set built up. I also am a self-published author. That is probably my passion. I have 2 books to date. The first book is What is Love? The second book is called I Thought You Loved Me. They are birth urban fiction series that are really just focused around a twisted love story that will definitely leave you on the edge of your seats if that is your type of Kool-Aid. I'm also in the works of another series. More details will be to come to follow that one as I continue to work on the storyline. But it will be a more spicier book, still urban fiction focused. So if you're into that type of content, be sure to take a look in the description because I will be placing the details there. But this is the second book that I wrote, What is Love? You can see about how thick it is. This is probably my favorite book because I learned so much from the first book. I feel like this one is just a better reflection of me, as an author who was able to grow from the first to the second. So love this book. Definitely feel free to check it out. Both books are available on Amazon. And I'll put the description and the details in our caption. But outside of books, I'm also a board member on 2 nonprofits. So we have Mommy's Break, which is really focused around motherhood and supporting mothers, making sure that they feel supported and knowing that their voices are heard, their feelings matter. It's okay to take a break because a lot of the time, the burden of the world does fall on their shoulders. So my great friend, Imani Watson, did found that organization. It's been a pleasure to be on the board there for the last few years. I'm also an advisory board member to a nonprofit organization called Students Without Mothers that's really focused in on students who have lost their mothers. So whether they have passed away, maybe incarcerated, things of that sort. We do help those students with mentorship, with counseling, with, college supplies, laptops, dorm supplies, really making sure that they feel supported as they do begin to transition from high school, onto college. So I love to be associated with dope organizations. So please feel free to check both of them out. Again, Mommy's Break. And then the other one is Students Without Mothers. But I think that that's it today. I've shared a ton. Stay tuned, I would say, for the next episode. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to share it with a friend, a family member, somebody that you know would find it interesting or useful. And also be sure to subscribe and comment. I think next time maybe I will dive into my experiences since I've moved away from home, because I've been away from home since about 2017. So I think it'd be dope to share kind of some pros and cons that I've experienced for those who may be interested, in relocating away from their hometown. But until next time, shorties, love and peace. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.